So, around a month back when Sabina approached with this idea of this webinar, immediately I agreed to speak in this webinar. And without thinking, giving much thoughts, we thought that we have enough actually to share on the VOPEs and VOPE movements in South Asia and India. But when I started organizing my thoughts around the topic, and then I faced that first challenge. I thought I'll start with a term called ecosystem, evaluation ecosystem, and started because these days I've been developing different kind of models of evaluation ecosystem. We all know that this term has been borrowed from biology. But then I realized this ecosystem, when the landscape is human constructed socially, then whatever ecosystem you try to construct and build, though it definitely follows that natural rules, the production and the supply and supply it becomes very, very political. Everything what is created or developed constructed by our society, it becomes very, very political. Anyways, it was becoming very, very difficult. And then we realized that the ecosystem is not maybe at one level. Ecosystem perhaps at different multiple levels, and all systems are perhaps interconnected. Anyways, then I thought a shorter, easier route actually, and I thought that I'll present my thoughts in a much simpler manner. And this is the way I try to divide my presentation today. So it's very three basic kind of I thought that I'll concentrate my presentation on the experiences of the VOPE from its genesis and to the present day, and what's actually we are looking and what kind of future actually we are expecting in the coming years. So its genesis, its progress from VOPE's role of visibilizing evaluation, how and we can become and can contribute in evaluation ecosystem, and definitely the future kind of convergence and sustainability definitely. And I just presented this thought through this simple kind of a graphics where I divided these phases in four stages basically. The first, the initial stage, just before that associations were even born. So definitely these phases are overlapping. It's not that it's one level, one stage ends and that activities are stopped. And I wanted to put these boxes, basically different kind of strategies we adopted throughout these years. And it is not one stage is over and that strategy is gone. Even today, when I think that we are perhaps in the stage 2, we are still continuously working on building public awareness, developing capacities, and we are still trying to look for more strategies to exchange our knowledge, our theories and practice, and etc. What were the driving forces of these VOPEs? And I'm talking a time period, sometime maybe around in the early 2000s perhaps. When in the South Asian region there are a quite good number of evaluators who are there from the south already. There is a need to perhaps build a kind of a solidarity among these evaluation professionals in South Asia, and solidarity in terms of also to to discuss and see that the nature of the tours, kind of assignments they were getting, and what are the nature of the fees and how to actually negotiate with the people, the agencies who are actually writing the tours. Now I just want to remind you, this is a time when evaluation perhaps was on one hand it's a very kind of a government kind of activity. It is it's a job of the governments to evaluate their own programs. Like in India, planning commission was there to who were actually evaluating different government programs, or the other ministries actually who are actually evaluating. But it was not much in the in the public discourse about evaluation, about evidence, and how it's contributing actually in the development process, these activities of evaluation. So it was much like an activity, and definitely it's very, very donor driven kind of thing. And and that's a time when there are a group of evaluators in South Asia who started working in the field as evaluators. And that's why this question comes, like who is an evaluator? Otherwise, a lot of people actually started evaluating different kind of programs and different kind of policies, perhaps. Okay, so the question also raised like, what kind of basic minimum like qualification or experience is required to become an evaluator? And those questions are still there. I mean, it's not that those questions or those issues has been resolved already. But these are the also primary, like initial questions in their minds. What is monitoring and evaluation? Is just an activity, or is just a profession, or it's an integral part of the program designing or the development process? So those questions definitely were asked, and definitely the most important question which was raised during that period, even now, that what value as evaluators we create for the society. Okay, and because many a time what happens in this region, that evaluation remains as an afterthought. It's not built in the process. It like it's a donor driven kind of activity that donor has asked me to evaluate, so we have to evaluate. So it's a kind of a very tokenistic, very ritualistic kind of activity that we have to do it because donor has access to do it. So if you look at the initial objectives of the VOPEs, and when I'm talking about the VOPEs, what are the VOPEs that time in India? So I'm talking about the early 2000s. So it was, yeah, absolutely, the Sri Lanka Evaluation Association was there. I think it was founded sometime around 1999. And then maybe Development Evaluation Society of India, which is primarily is a consortium of evaluators in India. And I think maybe a few more, I'm not sure, but these are the primary. Like SLEVA definitely started working in the evaluation, I think sometime before a lot of other VOPs came in this region. But I think if you look at the initial objectives were very much linked with that driving force, like why we need actually an association. It was basically to visualize evaluation and bring evidence, in the forefront of the policy debate and policy making actually, and also to build streamlining evaluation systems in the country, in the region. And definitely it was required to bring the multiple stakeholders, the professionals, the practitioners, academia, government. So I think everyone came together and formed first regional VOPE was the Community of Evaluators South Asia, sometime in 2008, founded with multiple partners. And one more struggle actually was how to develop that structure, the governance structure. Okay, how to build VOPE as an organization that which began during that time is still continuing perhaps. So if you look at the kind of the graphics I showed you earlier, I will go back to the graphics later towards the end of this presentation. But still, it's a profession to build the capacity, because otherwise, what kind of basic minimum qualification is required to exchange definitely the ideas, the theories and practice, and public awareness, which still we're struggling to do. Now, if we look at so we have seen these are the activities capacity, awareness, public awareness, build the organization, the list of the activities. It primarily concentrated around the conference. There is a conference, it's a peak conference workshop, maybe this is a capacity development conference platform. So what I'm trying to say here, all those activities got concentrated in a single platform. That became the platform. The conference became the only platform. So it's become the platform of the knowledge exchange. It became the platform of the capacity building. It becomes the platform of the raising public awareness. So all those things. But if I was looking at some historical document of Community of Evaluators very recently, I was seeing that they discussed about four tracks, like writing track, training track, practice track, institutional development track, but all got encompassed there within that conference kind of mode. So, but if you look at the challenges, list of challenges, it was very much there. Governance structure and legal registration, it's not very sure. It's all learning from doing it. Leadership chaos, if somehow the organizations could open up for people to join in as leaders. Rather, it closed actually for specific leadership. So it's not intentionally done, but it's perhaps came from some kind of a fear that the main objectives of the association might get diluted. If we can hold that kind of forward the leadership thing. So So the organizational culture was not developing in that way, the way it was expected. And definitely another very, very important thing is that business model. I mean, how to sustain that organization. See, in South Asia, it was not like the developed countries, like, the associations in the developed countries where they did a lot of, professional, used to hold a lot of workshops, professional, for the capacity development workshops, paid kind of workshops, which we couldn't do here. I mean, there's not many people perhaps to subscribe kind of those kind of activities, which is primarily the paid activities. Now, from there, I want to come to the next part. For me, 2015 was a turning point. It's not that the table was completely turned, but both at global level and at local level, it became an opportunity for the VOPE movement to maybe flourish or take maybe opportunity to take different kind of strategies. So incidentally, it was also the International Year of Evaluation. By that time, the eval partners already got wide acceptance as a global platform for development stakeholders. So by the second global forum, eval partners already created that kind of environment and kind of landscape. So slowly from conference mode to regular exchange mode, P2P kind of grant was also introduced. So then the Global Parliamentarians Forum for Evaluation was launched in 2015. The Eval Youth was launched, which became the main kind of a mass mobilizer these days. And SDGs were adopted during that period. If you look at even the topic of the evaluation conclave, in 2011 it was like making evaluation matter. 2013 it was evaluation to development. So, and if you look at the title of topic of the evaluation 2015, it's like bridging gap, building bridges. So center of focus also shifted from VOPE to networks. It became much more maybe easier and open up for the leadership to flourish through these kind of networks actually. And networks become much more vibrant and proactive mode to take the movement forward. But also I want to mention here, 2015 was also the year when the evaluation community of India was established with a model of shared leadership, which actually adopted by many VOPEs later, because we are very, very, very conscious about it, that leadership is very, very important for any kind of voluntary kind of movement in South Asia, in India, and in South Asia. So if you look at very quickly to the almost towards the end of my presentation, the journey from 2016 to 2021, you can see the loss of lot of activities that we have done. Definitely, it's not that we achieved everything, but definitely the networks and the collaboration is much more stronger, much more robust these days. The leadership extended, Evaluate become a mass mobilizer. The national, regional initiatives towards professionalism of evaluation. I think Asala will speak much more on that. We new initiatives have been taken. ECOI, it's such a small organization. We drafted an evaluation policy for India also and presented to the government. And definitely the one very good thing has happened. We didn't go to the DMO. DMO came to us and asked what kind of collaboration actually we can build actually to develop the ecosystem in India. So, but similarly, it's a long list of challenges. Absolutely, evidence-based policy design. Where are we? I mean, still we in India, there are if you look at the number of civil societies, more than 300,000 civil societies there in India. Even if you go and see that where the evidence actually placed there in the program design, it's still not evidence, but still anticipation. The public discourse, we are very recently trying to find out what kind of public discourses are there on evaluation. It's not many actually, very, very few. Decolonizing evaluation, which is a very big thing. A lot of people are talking these days, but I mean, still, even now we are looking at the North, looking at the approaches and frameworks developed there. What kind of knowledge we built here? I mean, still we are struggling. We are still at the very, very basic level. Questions of inclusion and equity, absolutely still an afterthought. It's sab kuch ho gaya, everything is done. Let's develop a section on equity. Where are the policy makers? We know how we struggled to get one parliamentarians for our Eval Fest last year. So it's not that easy. They are still not ready to prepare to listen to the VOPEs. Just last thing, very quickly in just half a minute. But still, I think we are very positive. I think the advantage is it's a growing youth leadership in South Asia. People are recognizing the voluntary bodies and networks. They see the value. They recognize this. So still, it's actually relevant. and definitely some early initiatives in professionalization and building competency frameworks in this region at least. So I'm sure that we are long way to go and a lot of challenges are there. But we are, I think, only 2 points I want to highlight here. One is the convergence, because activities are happening right now. We are still fragmented. We don't know who is doing what. So some kind of convergence is required definitely. And I think we have to think about the sustainability of VOPEs and how we can remain relevant and important in this landscape. That is definitely still a challenge, and still the questions are hanging on our heads. Yeah, I should like to stop here. Thank you.